The Release, Freeing Ghostly Spirits. It was a warm summer evening, and the sun had just set behind the trees. 5 friends, Emma, Tyler, Sarah, Jake, and Josh, were making their way to a remote campsite deep in the woods. The campsite had a reputation for being haunted, and many people had reported strange occurrences happening there, but the group was undeterred and eager to experience something spooky. As they arrived at the campsite, the first thing they noticed was the eerie silence. The only sounds were the rustling of the leaves in the wind and the occasional hoot of an owl. Emma, the most skeptical of the group, spoke up. "So, who's ready to get spooked? I don't think there's anything to be afraid of." Tyler, the bravest of the bunch, responded, "I don't know about you, but I came here for a scare. Let's set up the tents and start a fire. We'll see if this place lives up to its reputation." The group set up their tents and gathered around the fire, roasting marshmallows and sharing ghost stories. As the night grew darker, the woods seemed to come alive with sounds they couldn't explain. Jake, the quietest of the group, spoke up. "Did you hear that? It sounded like footsteps." Josh, the joker of the group, laughed. "Come on, Jake, it's just your imagination. This place isn't haunted. It's just a camping spot." But the sounds continued, and the friends started to feel uneasy. Sarah, the most spiritual of the group, suggested they do a prayer circle for protection. As they held hands and closed their eyes, they felt a chill run down their spines. Suddenly, a branch snapped, and they all jumped. Emma said, "Okay, that was weird. I don't think I can take this anymore. Maybe we should just go to sleep." Tyler agreed. "Yeah, let's call it a night. We have a long hike tomorrow." The group settled into their tents, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they drifted off to sleep, strange shadows moved outside their tents, and whispers echoed through the woods. In the middle of the night, Tyler woke up to a sound he couldn't explain. He heard footsteps walking around their campsite. He whispered to Emma, "Hey, did you hear that? Someone is out there." Emma responded groggily, "What are you talking about? Go back to sleep." Tyler lay back down but couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. The night was long, and the group didn't sleep well. They knew that something was not right in the campsite, and they would soon find out that they were dealing with more than just ghostly spirits. The next morning, the group woke up tired and groggy from the restless night. As they sat around the fire, drinking coffee and eating breakfast, they shared their experiences from the night before. Sarah spoke up. "Did anyone else feel like they were being watched last night? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was in our campsite." Josh laughed. "Come on, guys. We're just letting our imaginations get the best of us. This place isn't haunted. We're just being paranoid." But as the day wore on, strange occurrences continued to happen. They heard unexplained noises, saw shadows moving in the darkness, and felt an eerie presence around them. Tyler said, "Okay, I know I heard footsteps last night, but this morning I woke up to find my backpack moved, and some of my things were missing." Emma added, "And I thought I saw something moving outside my tent last night. It looked like a shadow or a figure of some kind." Jake, who had been quiet for most of the trip, said, "I don't feel right about this. Something is off." As they explored the area around the campsite, they found strange symbols etched into the trees and rocks. Sarah recognized them as occult symbols used by ancient cults to summon demons and spirits. She said, "Guys, I think we might be in real danger. These symbols are used for dark magic, and we don't know who or what we're dealing with." As the night fell, the group grew more anxious. They huddled together around the fire, trying to stay warm and safe. Suddenly, they heard a blood-curdling scream coming from the woods. They all jumped up, ready to run. Tyler said, "What the heck was that? We need to get out of here." But before they could move, they heard another scream, this time louder and closer. And then they saw it. A figure, shrouded in darkness, slowly emerging from the woods. It was a ghostly apparition, floating towards them. The group froze, not knowing what to do. Josh whispered, "What do? We can't fight a ghost." Sarah spoke up. "We need to protect ourselves. I have some sage and crystals we can use for protection. Let's form a circle and do a cleansing ritual." They quickly gathered the sage and crystals and formed a circle around the fire. Sarah led the ritual, chanting a prayer for protection and burning the sage. As the smoke rose, they felt a sense of peace and calm. The ghostly figure disappeared, and the woods fell silent. The group knew they had experienced something supernatural and dangerous. They decided to stay together for the night, hoping that they would make it to the morning. But they didn't know what other terrors awaited them in the haunted campsite. The next morning, the group woke up relieved that they had survived the night. They packed up their belongings and decided to leave the campsite. But before they did, they wanted to find some answers about the strange occurrences they had experienced. They drove to a nearby town and went to the local library to research the history of the area. They found old newspaper clippings and books about the town's past. They learned that the area was once home to a cult that worshipped dark spirits and practiced black magic. The cult was rumored to have performed human sacrifices and used the surrounding woods as a portal to the underworld. Emma said, "This is insane. We had no idea we were camping on haunted grounds." Tyler added, "We need to find out more. Maybe there's something we can do to put these spirits to rest." They decided to visit the local historical society to see if they could find any more information. The historian, a kind old man, listened to their story and showed them some old documents and artifacts from the cult's time. As they were about to leave, the historian stopped them and said, "I know it might sound crazy, but if you're looking for answers, you might want to speak to the town's oldest resident. She's lived here her entire life and has seen some things that no one else has." They thanked the historian and drove to the address he had given them. The house was old and dilapidated, with overgrown bushes and a rusty gate. They knocked on the door, and an old woman answered. She looked at them suspiciously and asked, "What do you want?" Sarah explained their situation, and the old woman nodded her head. She said, "I knew this day would come. The spirits of the cult have been restless for years. They won't rest until they're free." The group looked at each other, not sure what she meant. The old woman continued, "You need to go back to the campsite and perform a ritual. It's the only way to release the spirits and set them free. But be warned, it won't be easy. The spirits will fight you every step of the way." Josh said, "But how do we perform the ritual? What do we need to do?" The old woman gave them a list of items they needed, including candles, salt, and a special herb. She told them to perform the ritual at midnight, and that they needed to be strong and united. As they left the old woman's house, they felt a sense of foreboding. They knew they had to face their fears and confront the spirits, but they had no idea what would happen next. They drove back to the campsite, determined to set the spirits free and end the haunted nightmare they had experienced. The group arrived at the campsite just before midnight. They set up a circle of candles and placed the items they had gathered in the center. They held hands and closed their eyes, trying to focus their energy on the task at hand. Emma said, "We can do this. We have to do this. We can't let these spirits haunt this place anymore." Tyler added, "We're in this together. We're not alone." As they opened their eyes, they saw a faint mist rising from the ground. The temperature dropped, and the wind started to pick up. They could feel the presence of the spirits. They started the ritual, following the instructions given by the old woman. They chanted the incantations and sprinkled salt around the circle. The flames of the candles flickered and danced, as if in response to their words. Suddenly, they heard a loud noise, like the snapping of a tree branch. They opened their eyes and saw shadows moving in the woods around them. The spirits were watching them, waiting to attack. Sarah said, "We have to be strong. Don't let them scare you." As they continued the ritual, the spirits started to attack them. They felt cold hands grabbing their arms, and they heard whispers and moans in their ears. Josh said, "Don't give up. We're so close." The group fought back. pushing the spirits away with the power of their words and their united strength. They could see the spirits fading, becoming transparent, and disappearing into the night. As the last spirit disappeared, the temperature rose and the wind died down. The group looked at each other, feeling relieved and exhausted. Emma said, "Did we do it? Did we release the spirits?" Tyler added, "I think we did. I don't feel any evil presence anymore." Sarah nodded. "We did it. We freed them." As they packed up their belongings, they felt a sense of accomplishment. They had faced their fears and conquered the haunted campsite. They knew they would never forget this experience, but they also knew that they would never be haunted by it again. The group woke up early the next morning, feeling a sense of relief that the spirits were gone. They packed up their belongings and headed back to their cars, ready to leave the haunted campsite behind. As they drove away, Sarah said, "I can't believe we did it. We released the spirits." Josh added, "Yeah, it was intense, but we did it together." Tyler said, "I'm just glad we can put this all behind us now." Emma nodded. "Me too, but we should check in with the old woman who gave us the instructions. Let's see if she knows anything else about the spirits." They drove back to the old woman's house and knocked on her door. She answered, looking surprised to see them. Emma said, "We just wanted to thank you for your help. We released the spirits last night." The old woman smiled. "I knew you could do it. You are strong and determined, and you have a good heart. The spirits knew that too, and that's why they trusted you to release them." Tyler asked, "Do you know anything else about the spirits? Why were they haunting that campsite?" The old woman looked thoughtful. "There was a tragedy there many years ago. A group of teenagers were camping there and got lost in the woods. They never returned home. Their bodies were never found. The spirits of those teenagers were trapped there, unable to move on." Sarah asked, "So we helped them move on?" The old woman nodded. "Yes, you did. They are at peace now, and so should you be." As the group drove away, they felt a sense of closure. They had faced their fears and conquered the spirits that haunted them. They knew they would never forget this experience, but they also knew that they had grown stronger because of it. Emma said, "We did something good. We helped those spirits move on." Josh added, "And we did it together. That's something to be proud of." Tyler said, "Yeah, we should do something to celebrate. Maybe go out for breakfast." The group laughed, feeling lighter and happier than they had in a long time. They knew that they had made a difference, and that they had formed a bond that would last a lifetime. As they drove away from the old woman's house, the sun rose above the horizon, bathing the world in a warm glow. The spirits were free, and so were they. The release had brought them together, and it had set them free. A few weeks had passed since the group had released the spirits at the haunted campsite. They had all gone back to their regular lives, but something had changed. They had a new appreciation for each other and for the power of working together. One evening, Sarah called the group together. "Hey guys, I have an idea. Remember how much we helped those spirits at the campsite? What if we start a group to help other people who are dealing with the supernatural?" Josh was intrigued. "What do you mean?" Sarah explained. "We could call it the release, like our experience at the campsite. We could offer our help to people who are dealing with hauntings or possessions. We could use the skills we learned to help others." Emma nodded. "I like that idea. We could make a real difference in people's lives." Tyler said, "Yeah, and we would be doing it together. We make a great team." The group agreed to start the release, and they began advertising their services. Soon, they were receiving calls from all over the city, from people who needed their help. They worked together to help people who were dealing with haunted houses, possessions, and other supernatural phenomena. They used the skills they had learned at the haunted campsite, and they found that they were making a real difference in people's lives. One day, they received a call from a woman who was convinced that her son was possessed by a demon. The group went to her house and found that the boy was indeed showing signs of possession. They set to work, using the techniques they had learned to drive the demon out of the boy. It was a difficult and dangerous task, but they worked together and were eventually able to release the demon from the boy's body. The woman was overjoyed and grateful. "Thank you so much," she said. "You have saved my son's life." The group felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had done something good, something that had made a real difference in someone's life. As they drove away from the woman's house, Sarah said, "I can't believe we're actually doing this. We're making a real difference in people's lives." Josh added, "And we're doing it together. That's what makes it even better." Tyler said, "Yeah, we make a great team. I'm glad we started the release." Emma smiled. "Me too. We're doing something important, and we're doing it together." As they drove away, they knew that they had found a new purpose in life. They were helping people, and they were doing it together. The release had become more than just a name. It had become a mission, a way of life, and they knew that they would be doing it for a long time to come.